Will this machine ever be done? So if you remember last time, which is quite a long video on this, we got to the point where it was pretty much working, and then put the cover back on, and then it stopped working. And one of the issues was, it started out that the handle would jam at the end of the stroke, and I thought that was the ratchet malfunctioning, so I disconnected the spring, and after that, it didn't really want to add at all. And what I discovered there was actually there was some resistance developing in the machine, such that when you pulled the handle all the way down, it didn't actually go all the way down. And that's why the ratchet was grabbing, so we needed that extra little push to get it to go all the way down, and the ratchet would of course click past and release to return the handle. And then of course when I detached the spring to disengage the ratchet from working at all, then when that happened, the handle wasn't going down all the way, which was causing the non-add issue. So the source of the resistance actually was the dampener. Sometimes when you pull the handle, it would get more resistance than others. I'm guessing that what was happening was when you pull the handle a little bit faster, it would throw those brake shoes out against the drum, and then they would kind of stick out and cause much more resistance throughout the whole stroke of the handle. So a little bit of oil on that mechanism actually solved that problem. And then the second issue was with the printer not springing back, and as I mentioned before, that was because of the so I can show you here. So what I've done basically is I just swapped out the whole printer mechanism. This is the printer mechanism from the other machine, which seems to be working fine. This is the one that was in there, minus the patent, of course. And I think I had to steal one or two parts off to put on that one. But I'll just do it on it. This piece back here is bent. You can see that it's bent. And what this does is this holds a little roller in here to apply force to the bottom of the patent. The patent would go right in here in this little guarded area here. So what's happening was because this was bent, initially it wasn't applying enough force of this roller against the patent to properly grab the paper. And then I tried to bend it back to where it should be, which then resulted in having too much force on the patent. So that with the spring, because this only returns by spring power, so that this had too much force against the patent, such that there wasn't enough tension in the spring to move this, because when this moves, that's what drives the patent forward. So basically, there was so much resistance here that this was so hard to move that the spring couldn't do it, and so it was getting stuck in the pressed against the printer head mechanism, or the printer head state. So it wasn't printing properly. I don't know why I didn't think of this last time in the video, but I ended up just swapping out this damaged one for the one from the other machine. There's our total. You can see that it's printing. Blank crank. And there we go. Everything printed nice. Print out total and print out this. Oh, that was something else I forgot to mention too. When I was performing these operations, it started printing this star here for every item. And I probably should have shown this, but I didn't have the camera out at the time. What causes that is there is a kind of like a, I'm not going to say it, but like the key under the pegboard, there's risers for all of these columns. There's kind of like a half column to the right here of the zero that just has that star on it, and there's a latch that allows that rocker there to rock forward on position or not rock forward at all. And all that happened was the spring came off that latch, so it was allowing that rocker to rock forward and print the star for every operation. So I just had to replace that spring. So that seems to be working now. So let's see if repeat works. It was working before, so hopefully it still does. go, so that's 5 times 25. Take that off, that should pop up. Clear it out. Total. And why didn't we put anything? There it goes. I'm sure what happened the first time. Maybe I didn't push the total key on all the way. Not too sure. Anyway, does point out there. So yeah, probably could have fixed these issues in the last video, but kind of working on it for a long time, and honestly was kind of a little annoyed at that point, that because it always seems that like that's what happens whenever you put the case back on a machine, a new issue pops up. Most of the time that happens. So just a little frustrating when that happens. So yeah, I kind of just need to take a little break from that after the last video. But after putting that to the side and working on something else for a while, kind of got to thinking about this and took another look at it, and I'm glad that I did, because now seems to be working fine. Other than maybe that issue with it not printing the total that one time, but it's perfectly usable as is. See if it does it now. Total. So now it printed the total just fine. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I just didn't push the key down that whole. Didn't push the key all the way down that time. As you saw, the arrow works, that clears it out. So we can try something more. So that prints out, leaves it in, and then total prints out and clears it. So yeah, you can see that. So this is just a little short video. Kind of wasn't expecting it to be that simple, I guess, to get this thing back into, pretty much everything works on it. I don't think anything that doesn't work. We showed that non-print worked before, or we can show that again. If I enter something random and flip this to that, see that the printer is not advanced, but it does put it in there. And it clears out. I'll put it back in print mode. So yeah, just those are two extra issues. The printer, which I just replaced the whole thing rather than try and play with this, because maybe I could have taken this off and tried to beat this flat, but who knows if anything else on here is distorted. And this is just flopped out like this because I took the screw out. Not sure what happened to the screw on this printer mechanism. I probably took it apart at one time when I was, the time when I took it out of the other machine. It was probably in the pile of parts for that machine, but since I had the screw here on this one, I just decided to take it off there. It's much simpler than trying to dig through and find the right one for this. Doesn't really matter. But that's why this is all loose, because there's a screw that goes in here to hold this in, which is now not in there anymore. But yeah, so it's this whole piece. So this thing here then folds over down to this. You can see this here pushes against it. So that's your pattern release. If you put the paper in lopsided, you can push that, and it'll take all the tension off the pattern, so you can rearrange the paper and make it straight. So that just pushes on there, and you can see when it does that, it stretches out the springs to basically lock this down away from the pattern. You can see then these springs pull on this towards this bar to rotate this up against the pattern, and you can see where it's all distorted there. So like I said, maybe I could have taken this shaft out. There's a screw on that side too. Alright, maybe I could have taken this shaft out and tried to beat this flat, but rather than mess around with that, I decided to go with the printer from the old machine, because that wasn't being used for anything anyway. There's not enough parts between the two of these machines to make two machines. So there's really no harm in taking whatever we want from the other machine. Like I said, the new base with the mechanism that I got did not include the keys or the keyboard top plate or any of the key stems. So even if you would make the argument of, well, taking this away means you can't build that machine, well, you can't build it anyway because there's no keyboard. So with the only option to make one machine from two, there's no hurt in taking anything extra from the other machine. So yeah, I think it's going to be about it for this one. I think this machine is fully exorcised now. Long nothing new pops up. And yeah, so that's all right for this one. Thank you for watching.